We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Really, Mr. Jefferson? Because if that's true, why did the founders enslave people, exclude women, and ignore the ones that actually built this country? And why are we still debating who gets to be an American citizen in 2025? This isn't just about history. It's about right now. Welcome back to The Real Freedom Story, the series where we peel back the patriotic packaging to get to the real truth behind our American history. And today, we're defining what the founders meant when they said all men, and we're going to understand how that shaped and still shapes America as far as who is respected, protected, and represented in this democracy. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like for history that you won't learn in your textbook. Let's make no mistake, the debates that we see today around birthright citizenship and the 14th Amendment are not new. This is just history repeating itself. The Declaration of Independence, chef's kiss on paper. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. When those words were written, let me hold your hand when I say this, they weren't meant for everyone. The founders built a democracy for people that looked like them. White, wealthy, Christian, male, property owning, educated, and yes, many of them enslavers. 25 of the 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence were in fact enslavers of other human beings. And while the Constitution never explicitly states the institution that is slavery, it made room for it. The Three-Fifths Compromise is the perfect example. When our Congress was built, and it's made up of two chambers, the Senate and the House, when they were deciding what the population would be for the South, they made sure, in order to not give the South an unfair advantage when it came to population in the House, but to also not limit them as far as their population, that they would consider the enslaved Black people 3/5 of a human being. So let's be clear, the country's founding documents were not made with all of us in mind. And that is not just limited to Black people. Let's talk citizenship. Right after the Declaration of Independence says that all men are created equal, it has another part. The Declaration says that the government gets its power from the consent of the governed. But who was actually considered a part of the governed? I'll tell you who wasn't. Definitely not Black people, free or enslaved, indigenous people, immigrants, women, and poor white people who didn't own property or were not considered properly educated. But when the 1790 Naturalization Act came, it made it crystal clear who citizens and the governed were in the United States. Only free white persons could become citizens. And even among white women, they still couldn't vote, couldn't own property once they were married, and couldn't defend themselves in court, especially not against their own husbands. But in the case of enslaved Black women, it was even worse. They couldn't even defend themselves against their own enslavers. In 1855, a young Black girl from Missouri had murdered her enslaver, and she was executed because she had no right, according to the court in Missouri, to defend herself because she was not a citizen. She was property. So when they say all men, let me ask you again, who does that include? Let's fast forward now to the end of the Civil War. The 14th Amendment is ratified in 1868 to fix the damage caused by the Dred Scott decision from the Supreme Court, saying that Black people were not citizens and could not ever be citizens of the United States. But the 14th Amendment made it plain. If you're born here, you're a citizen, and you get equal protection under the law. But now in 2025, we found ourselves in a political climate where they're trying to undo that. People want to go back to that time of America, but let's be honest, that means going back to a time where most of us did not count and we were not represented in our democracy. The whole debate around the 14th Amendment is not just legal. Honestly, for a lot of us, it should be personal. Because if birthright citizenship is on the chopping block, then that means so are the rights of the following: children of immigrants, poor people, Black Americans, non-Christian Americans, and honestly, anyone that doesn't fit into that old school elite founders mentality, if you know what I mean. So what would you be losing out on? The right to vote, access to quality education, jobs, healthcare, housing, the list goes on. Honestly, your entire status as a United States citizen, gone. So we have to be very careful. What we're returning to isn't something great. It's actually something very exclusive and very discriminatory. Next year, and I keep talking about this in my series, but next year, America will be turning 250 years old. But instead of moving forward, we're actually having a lot of policies enacted that are dragging us backwards. But we don't have to go with them. In 1852, Frederick Douglass gave a speech in Rochester, New York. The speech was titled, "What to the Slave is Your 4th of July?" It wasn't an anti-American title. If anything, he was challenging the country and the people within it to live up to the words of the Declaration of Independence in the United States Constitution. And that's the whole point of this series right here. We're not here to tear down the promises of America. We're here to demand that it includes all of us. Because until we get to a point where we're actually living up to those words in the United States that all men were created equal, until it includes people like you and me, then the work for this country to live up to its promises is far from finished. If this video taught you something new or made you think, don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment, and share this with someone who may need to hear it. Oh yeah, and don't forget to subscribe, because in the next episode, we'll actually be tackling that famous speech from Frederick Douglass and getting to understanding of what that speech means for us right now in 2025 and beyond. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. And don't forget that real change starts when we start asking ourselves real questions. Thanks for watching.